Welcome to the public launch of Black Artist Way Station, where good art makes you think. This is a chapter of artivism in the book, It's Bigger Than Hip Hop by M.K. Asante. Asante writes of artivists, the artivists, which is artivists and activists, using their artistic talents to fight the struggle against injustice and oppression by any means necessary. The artivist merges commitment to freedom and justice with the pen, the lens, the brush, the voice, the body, and the imagination. The artivist knows that it has to make an observation to its obligation. Tonight, we'll introduce this project, the Black Artist Way Station, the leadership, the nominators, conductors, and the Lancaster Black artists. I'm so excited. We have breakout rooms later for the artists and additional information for the public. Black Artist Way Station is a private initiative hosted by YWCA Lancaster with a mission to eliminate racism and empower women. Our private sector partner is Blake Collins Group, who excels at solving tough problems, and we're grateful for the support from the Lancaster Public Arts, who focuses on equity, livability, and excellence to promote neighborhood connectivity, create meaningful collaborations, and magnify Lancaster City's distinct sense of place. I have the pleasure of introducing Lenwood Sloan, and I have his bio in front of me. But I just want to also say that it has been a pure joy to be connected with Lenwood before I highlight some of his work that he's done.
Please don't read my bio.
Ooh, you don't want me to read your bio, Lenny?
No, we'll hold it as my obituary someday. And
Awesome.
In the meantime, I'll vamp through my introduction, okay?
All right. Well, I will just say on a personal level, it's been a pleasure because I know that Lenny has his hands in many organizations throughout Lancaster, as well as his work with the African American and Irish diaspora, and for his commitment to actually be involved with our inaugural Black Artist Way Station right now is tremendous. So without further ado, with no bio, but you will hear the greatness through his tone, I will pass it off to Lenny Sloan.
Good evening, good friends. It's great to see you, and I have to take a photograph of this screen. I have missed you all so much. I was in the incredible artist foundry of the Arts Research Studios at 3050 Industry Drive. You should visit it sometime. It's at Industry Drive in Columbia. This is the only women's owned bronze foundry in the Mid-Atlantic states. They create their own sculptures and monuments around the world. And they also act as a bronze foundry for over 70 artists who do not have their own bronze foundries. We were there on March 13th, and we were planning for a great studio tour on the following Monday. It was the last time I had a chance to really commune in a room full of artists. So you will see Lenwood on the screen. And Lenwood is that guy who is the gun runner for the arts. He's the guy in the suit that goes off to capitals on your behalf, who argues on panels or presents your grants or seeks information that he can slip to you. Lenny, L-E-N-I, is the creative artist, is the catalytic artist. Catalytic agent. So I'll be Lenny tonight. And on your behalf, I may have to put on my suit and be Lenwood on Tuesday. But you will know that Lenny's not far away from you. I am a foster child of Pennsylvania. I came here on the eve of the Katrina to do an installation project for the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. While I was here and my house was washed away, I was asked to stay and help 500,000 families relocate to central Pennsylvania. And during that time, my house was condemned and torn down, and I decided I better relocate myself. And so I thank you for taking me in and giving me safe harbor. That's really what tonight is about, is safe harbor for artists. We're using one of Lancaster's greatest treasures, assets, and historic references, the Underground Railroad, as a structure for this evening. The Underground Railroad was made up of multiple people, and do not let anybody tell you that it was an ad hoc, random, phenomena. It was a highly organized system of people of all races and all ages who worked together to move freedom seekers from the bondage of body, heart, and spirit to the free towns where they could let their spirits and their freedoms fly. Now, I'm using the term freedom seeker for you. I will need you to help me with a national campaign that I'm on. We need to stop referring to them as runaways, because runaway forever makes them fugitives. What they were brave spirits who had endured the Middle Passage, endured the shackles of the body, and caused themselves to believe that they could lift themselves up and set themselves on the pathway to freedom. So if you can, and to the degree that you can, and we all came out of the same Western educational system, to the degree that you can, let us no longer call them fugitives. That makes them illegal. That makes them criminal. The term is freedom seeker. Freedom seekers were approached by agents, people who could identify with their eye, with their intellect, and with their spirit. A person who had the faith, the promise, and the ability to set themselves beyond enslavement. And the agent would take that freedom seeker to a conductor. And the conductor would lead the freedom seeker down a pathway to a safe house. They would spend time there, maybe a night, maybe a winter. Maybe that safe house was a barn and not really a heart. Maybe it was a cave. Maybe it was an aqueduct. Maybe it was the bottom of a well with no water. But eventually the conductor would pass that person to another conductor, and they would take them to a way station where that person was given food and sustenance and education and mapping to take them to a free town where they could achieve themselves. This is the day after Frederick Douglass's chosen birthday. Frederick Douglass chose Valentine's Day for his birthday. He didn't know his birthday. He had no papers, but he knew that his mother called him her little Valentine. And so he chose Valentine's Day. Frederick Douglass rose from enslavement to freedom, and from freedom to awareness, and he took up every position on the Underground Railroad. And so on our Underground Railroad, you are the freedom seekers, seeking the freedom to make your art unbridled, unshackled, bonded. And we have some wonderful people who have nominated you, and we refer to them as the agents. You'll meet some people tonight who are conductors who will guide you down the road to way stations, and the way stations will be studios and workplaces. And the free towns will be the place where you can make your art in public places, places where we negotiate the responsibility and the opportunity for artists to navigate the public place and use their art to engage the public in social dialogue and animating democracy. So we're not talking about legitimate theaters. We're not talking about galleries with their names on the front door. We're not talking about concert halls. We're talking about corners and laundromats and McDonald's drive-throughs. We're talking about empty parking lots. And we're talking about manholes and barber shops and the places where people do not expect to find agents of art, do not expect to see examples of that art. We're hoping that you will set on a pathway, that you will join a coalition lifting up African-American artists in Lancaster, that you will give yourself over to a conductor who will show you a northern star of the possibilities of making art. We're hoping that you will pull into a way station, a place where you can make art with a community, and show that art in a free town, free as in no ticket, free as in no bondage of economy. We have a superintendent, which is Tony Collins, who is as Benjamin Franklin and as Martin Delaney were conductors of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Robert Purvis, Tony is this conductor of this experiment. And so we want you to enter this road. I have two things to say. Now, we're not going to be Harriet Tubman. You know, Harriet Tubman shot anybody who turned back. She shot him in the head. She said, there's only one way, which is forward, you know? And if you turn back, you will squeal on us. So we're not going to be Harriet Tubman. But we do want to make you all realize that this is not a Pillsbury bake-off. There are not winners tonight. There are sojourners tonight. And from this coalition of sojourners who spend time with each other, 3 will be moved forward to represent the whole. 1 in visual art, 1 in performing arts, 1 in film, media, and photography. I need to say that again. This is not the Miss America contest. It will not be a first and second in the Miss Congeniality. This is not the Pillsbury bake-off. This is a civic dialogue, a process of animating a democracy, of which in this first round, 3 will be asked to step forward on behalf of the whole to present the power of art in the public place. And it is my great privilege and honor to introduce my colleague, friend, and the superintendent for this journey, Tony Collins.
Hey folks, glad to see all of y'all. Hey Dom, I know a bunch of you guys. I see Star Alicia, I see a lot of folks that I know, and I'm really excited that you're here. Nate, I see you. I'm gonna be brief. I haven't been in Lancaster long, but I have been learning every day how Lancaster has been in the crucible of history, especially the history around social justice and movement toward freedom. Whether it was back in the Civil War times, more recently I found out about how Lancaster was a bastion of intellectual thinking in the late 60s, thinking about the Black Lives movement for social justice. It was occurring here in Lancaster. And then this past summer, we saw the movement to address the latest insurrection, which is George Floyd, and to push back. Lancaster has been there. So my vision is that art is the first draft of history. It's the first interpretation of history. And as I looked around, I wanted to see more Black artists comment not only on Lancaster's past, but on Lancaster's present. How do those things relate? The good news was because of, I want to say a special thanks to Linwood, but because of Linwood, I got to meet some other folks who have just made all this happen. They are, and these are the agents, Linwood Sloan, of course, and he's being modest by not telling you all the things he's done. Barry Kornhauser, Barry's there. Barry has, I've been impressed with Barry, has been on top of everything, contacting everybody, working hard. Emerson Sapaio, who's not, I don't think, with us, Jasmine. Randy Harris, who is one of the people I go to whenever I want to ask a history question. And he's there, and he's been very involved. Denise Burkholder, who, Denise, you down there? Who's the person, whenever I see Denise, I know we're going to start talking about Penn State and end talking about Penn State, and in between we'll talk about the rest of the world. And then and Jasmine King, of course. So those folks have gone out of their way to make this happen, as we talked about what does a Black Artist Way Station look like. But none of this could have happened without my friendship with Javi Suarez. I see you, Javi. I'm coming to you. Javi and I went through Leadership Florida together. I was at some citizenship activities with Javi, is it 20 years ago now, 10, 15 years ago. Javi, who's originally from Puerto Rico, moved to Sarasota when he was 10. He's the son of an architect. He is an architect, Suarez Architecture, but more passionately, Javi's a practicing artist. He's had works all across the country and internationally. He's had private showings in galleries in California and Florida, Puerto Rico, and he's also currently a member of the Ringling, I'm gonna get it wrong, Javi, so get me right, Ringling Museum, say it, Javi.
Ringling Museum of Art.
Ringling Museum of Art, and I implore everyone to take a look at it. But Javi's also been involved from day one. He said yes when I said let's figure out how to help Black artists and talk about this last 400 years. And I asked Javi to be the head conductor, and he's done that. And I want to pass it on to Javier Suarez.
Thanks, Tony. I just wanted to go back real quick before I get an opportunity to present the conductors that will be helping the artists through their path forward. To speak a little bit on the vision, artistic vision for the project. The Black Artist Way Station is a project that envisions the reimagining of artwork within the context of Black Lives Matter through the lens of the work that was laid down by the leaders who fought power before us. As Lenny mentioned, a lot of the references that we are discussing have to do with the Underground Railroad and the freedom seekers finding their way to freedom. There's also a political and intellectual revolution in the 50s and 60s there in Lancaster. Our goal is to shine a light on you as emerging artists to help create a movement that's not just a moment. We must endeavor to spark change through public art that is positive and everlasting. As Tony mentioned, I was born in Puerto Rico. I didn't know this at birth, but when I moved to the mainland, I was baptized as the other. That really wasn't something that was part of our culture in Puerto Rico. But I became a transcultural mutt, never quite fitting in. And so what we're asking you as artists is to find your vision, find your path, and define what it is to be Black in America today, in the moment that we're living through now, and what it is for you to be Black in America in this particular place called, and I'm going to get this wrong again, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Joining me as conductor is first Elimo Nelson. Elimo, if you can wave, say hello.
Hello. I don't mute myself.
So Elimo, I've known for quite a long time. He has over 65 credits in the film industry, film movie industry. He's had, if you have HBO now, catch him on Things Never Said, all black cast, wonderful movie, Cold Hard Truth, to name a few. He is now working on his latest project. He will be featured on Kevin Hart's new series that is appearing on Netflix in the next couple of months called True Story, which is also featuring Wesley Snipes. So Limu is a man that's been fighting Hollywood for the last 20 plus years. So we're glad to have him. In addition, we have Julia Mallory. Julia, if you wouldn't mind
Hey y'all.
saying hi. So Julia is a multi-hyphenated creative with a current focus on text and textiles. She's a 6-time author, including 2 children's books. In addition, she is a founder and creative literary arts brand, Black Mermaids. So tonight's the conductors will be joining the artist in breakout rooms a little bit later for initial conversations and questions. Lenny, please, if you could introduce our artist.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say that I spent 10 years sojourn in my 3-piece suit as deputy director at the National Endowment for the Arts. That's the Linwood part, by the way, you know. And it was there that I learned the distinction between the artist and the artivist. The artist was an art maker for art's sake. And in good times, we get the opportunity to make art for the sheer delight of art making. The artivist was the artist activist who used art in service to community, to challenge communities, and to frame civic dialogues leading towards animating democracy. And don't we need that now? Now more than ever, the artist needs to be the glue, the yeast, the catalyst for social change and civic dialogue. And so we have invited you here to consider the moment where you cross the room from the sheer delight of art making to the side of the room where you use your art as a northern light, as a balm in Gilead, yeah, as a free zone for thinking. And I would like to ask Jasmine if you'll help me, Jasmine, because you'll be able to identify each of the artists who were nominated from Freedom Seekers, agents who saw you in the community, not as emerging artists, but as perpetually emerging artists. You know, always on the edge of change as you related to the needs of your community. So Jasmine, could you help me with a roll call of our artivists tonight?
Sure. We have Malcolm Corley, who I do see here.
Malcolm, would you raise your hand? Or there you go. Oh, this is the wonderful young man. Yes.
China doll.
China, would you raise your hand or give us a shake or a hoot or a holler? Okay.
Yes. Elijah Morton.
Eliza.
Elijah. I don't think I see Elijah. Julia
Where
Jordan.
be, as we say in Jamaica. Where be?
Yes. Julia Jordan Commanda.
Greetings, Julia.
Yes. Jerry McCritty.
Greetings,
Hello.
Jerry.
Yes. Amber Furness.
Amber Furness.
I did see Amber enter the room. Yes.
Wonderful.
Marion Coco Coleman. Good to see
Marion Coco Coleman.
you.
That's
Sherlyn.
that's a Harlem jazz name, Marion Coco Coleman.
Sherlyn Kamara.
Sherlyn.
I didn't see Sherlyn enter. Kay Ferguson. I didn't see Kay enter. Gracie Berry.
Peace.
Multitasking, so I'm not on video at the moment.
You're all
That's
good.
all right. Gracie, I poured libations at the train station for you every time.
Oh, you're a blessing. You're a jewel. Thank
Right. Dominique Jordan Miller.
Blessings, y'all. Thank y'all for having me this evening, and I'm excited to get this work done.
Yeah.
Nico Woods.
Nico Woods.
Let's see if we see Nico. Terrian L. Mack. All right.
Yep, I'm here. Happy to be here.
Yes. How are you doing, Terrian?
I'm good.
Happy to have you, brother.
Thank you. Love listening to you. Picking up. I'm just soaking it all up.
Thank you, man.
Mr. Nathan Gadson.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Mr.
You losing
Nathan
your voice? You losing your voice, Nathan?
Yeah, it's trying to go. But I never truly lose my voice. It's just this physical part of it.
Okay.
You've been busy since MLK Day, brother. I know. You're like.
Miss Rita Clark, who cannot join us this evening. Mr. Matt Woodson. I did see Matt in the room. He's still here. He may have had to leave. Starlisha Gingrich.
Guys, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Matt. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. Starlisha Gingrich.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. It's so great to be in this wonderful room with all these beautiful faces and so much good talent. I'm so excited to work with all of you and see what is to come in the future.
Awesome. And Shelby and Jordan. Right. And Shelby and Jordan Wormley.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Greetings to see you. Greetings to see you.
I'm excited
So,
to be a part.
Jasmine, I'd like to just take, so I already told you that I am Lancaster's foster child. I came here from Katrina. So we always talk about making gumbo, in New Orleans. By the way, tomorrow is Mardi Gras, so, get out your beads. But we always talk about making gumbo. Gumbo is where everybody brings something to the pot, everybody, but to make a good gumbo, first you make a roux. So Tony Collins is the roux. He's the gravy that we're gonna put all this stuff into, to hold us together. So I would like us to enter a kind of, I'm gonna say, check your weapons at the door, check your assumptions at the door. This is family that has been detached from it each other for a year. So before we go forward, Stacy and Tony, if I could just take just a moment, look at the faces on the screen. Look at the power of the universe, of the arts in Lancaster. We are all we got, brothers and sisters, but we don't need much else. Look at it. We have everything we need to succeed.
Let me jump in for a minute, Lynn, I'll give it back to you. But the thing that's most astonishing me, and again, I want to thank everybody who's participating, is that this project started out when I was in the Ware Center and I accidentally ran into an exhibit from the Pava Gallery. And I talked to Grace Bear and some other folks and started asking about the extent of the Black artist community in Lancaster. And I went around to some of my friends. I don't know many folks in, right, as many folks in Linwood, but in the pursuit of gumbo, I went around and said, well, how many Black artists are there in Lancaster? And I won't put everybody on the list, but for the life of me, we couldn't get past 3. And I was like, that can't be right. That cannot be right. That is wrong. There's something wrong. And what I began to realize is, much like the Underground Railroad, we're doing our thing in all kinds of different places all the time. And part of that effort is that we have to dig deep, just like every day, every other day, and try to work hard to make that gumbo. I happen to like gumbo. I had a chance to talk to some folks and saying, you know, the art community here has to be more about artists and less about galleries, and bring a little funk to it. You know, it's a little too quiet. So I'm excited. Seeing y'all is exciting to me. I'm pumped. I'm looking for things I've never thought of. So back to Linwood's gumbo, y'all look like you could make some pretty amazing gumbo.
Yeah, and Tony and Stacy, forgive me, Jasmine and Holly, for being off script, but I just need to say one other thing, that gumbo is different than minestrone. In minestrone, everything melts down and loses its character. Everything loses its otherness. In gumbo, the okra is still gumbo, but the okra is jamming on the andouille. You know, the okra is loving on them beans and rice, okay? So this is a gumbo exercise. This is not minestrone melting pot exercise. So if you see each other in the street, rub up against each other, okay? Now, forgive me, Stacy, I've gone off script and I turn it back.
You're all good. You could just look around on the screen and everybody's loving this gumbo metaphor right now. Awesome, awesome. So we are definitely building community. We do have a portion that we are going to break out into breakout rooms. I just want to confirm because we have 50 people that are on this evening. So some folks will actually stay in the main room and see some of the artwork and all the visual arts and everything from the artists that we've gathered and put into a slideshow for everybody else, while the artists go to their separate breakout rooms. So just know that your artwork is being featured. We have become your biggest cheerleaders on the other end that will be praising everything that you do in the larger breakout room. So I'm just gonna go through the rooms that I have separated and just make sure that everybody is in the right place. In visual arts, I have Amber, Grace, Javi, Keisha, Malcolm, and Randy. I'm sorry, yes, Randy. In the performance arts category, I have Barry, Tony, China, Dom, Julia Jordan, Julia Mallory, Marion, Matthew, Mr. Gadson, and Starlisha. And then in the last but not least breakout room, I have Denise, Elimo, Lenwood, and Terrian. Are there any of our nominated artists that I did not say your name or put you in a breakout room?
Jasmine.
And
Got it.
Excuse me, Jasmine.
Yes.
I know this might be a little confusing. You put me with performing arts.
Yes. Would you like to be in film and media?
Yeah, that's where you'll get my, yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
You'll get a film project.
We got this too.
Okay, and I will move you around. While I'm doing that, does any of my other leadership or agents want to talk while I move around some of the folks to different rooms?
There were so many of you who were multidisciplinary artists. In Lancaster, as I move around in my many roles in Lancaster, I discovered that many communities believe that art is a synonym for visual art. And so tonight we will raise up the visual arts, the performing arts, and film, photography, and media. And we'll go into those 3 rooms with conductors. You could have been in a number of places, but we asked you to choose the discipline that you would like, or the specificity that you would like to bring forward. So thank you, Nathaniel, for declaring yourself.
I just have to
Sloan. Mr. Sloan.
Yes, yes, sir.
I believe you may be confusing me with that other guy named Nate Gadson, my brother Nathaniel Gadson.
Oh, you know, you come from a long lineage. Yeah,
it's okay. I know.
Of change agents in the community.
Thank you, sir.
I just had a quick question. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
So I was trying. I don't think I recall choosing a discipline. I think for the sake of this project, I'd like to option of the performance and the visual. I'm leaning more heavy on the performance piece because of the time frame. I don't know if that could be kind of discussed at a later time, but
yes.
I don't recall that choosing this discipline.
Well, we're going to go into 3 rooms, 3 breakout rooms. The conductors in each room will ask questions. A nominator will serve as a note taker, and one will serve to feedback, to bring the conversation back when we come back together. But the conversations will both be alike and different. There will be questions that are alike, and there will be questions that are discipline specific, the challenges for your discipline and the opportunities. So we'll all come back together at the end of the conversation.
And Grace, this is Tony. Great to see you. I'm thinking the good thing about this is it's a private sector exercise, and it's about community. So I want to hear all the conversations and put them back together in the gumbo. But at some point, I don't know when, you can just declare where you want to focus your efforts. But for today, everybody who's in a group, don't consider that confining. You can go and be wherever you want to be.
If you would like to go into the performance dialogue tonight, that would be great.
Jasmine, do you have We and Company in the media group?
Yes, I have We and Company in the medium film photography group.
Right. And I didn't want my biography to sound like a obituary tonight, or a eulogy, but my pronoun is other. So, you know, if your pronoun is other, then by the end of the evening, you can get to choose. Yeah.
Okay, can I put my pronoun up as mermaid?
Yeah.
All right. So I have the breakout rooms and they're ready. I'm going to open the rooms, and once you enter the room, you have about 20 minutes for your conversations. I'll also pop into each breakout room because I know that there's probably going to be some great discussion going on, just so I can check on our time.
Do we have to do anything, or is it just we'll just be popped into our room?
You'll be popped into your room. It might put on your screen and say to join, to leave. If not, it'll do a countdown and kind of zap you over to your room.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Just for
yes,
another
is this
piece of
Ms. Charlene?
clarification.
Yes.
Those of you who are our guests tonight, who are not conductors, or nominators or artists, you'll stay in a room with Stacy Blake, and what she's going to do is show you work samples of the artists that are in those 3 rooms, so you'll get to know them better as they come back from this.
Excuse me, even Linwood, this is
Yes.
Charlene, and I just want to apologize. My brother is in the hospital, and I'm just coming on, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing.
You're going to go into the visual art room now with your colleagues.
Okay.
Jasmine,
Yes.
if I may, I just wanted to speak on this topic of, again, the fact that there's a lot of artists that are in between disciplines. One of the things that we're going to ask for the February 28th submission is a description of your vision. So I think until that time, as Lenny has mentioned, and I think Tony as well, whatever your vision is based on what the parameters that we're discussing here in this meeting, as far as the collective gumbo that we're trying to create, I think if your vision is one or the other, it really, I think it in the end, we're looking to create that gumbo. So.
So you have the evening to float, and by the 28th, we'll ask you to declare a discipline. Shall we break out now, Jasmine?
Yep, I'm all ready.
Great.
Hello. Oh, they're nice.
Just making sure that everybody went out to their rooms.
Jasmine, I'm still here. Could you assign me again, please?
Yes, and Ken, I'm still who just said that? I'm sorry.
Julia Mallory.
Julia, yeah, it didn't pop
Oh, yeah,
up.
I'm sorry. You have
see
it
it?
right beside me on the film, on the camera, but of course your screen probably looks different. I don't see the dialogue box anymore.
Okay, let me try again because I see both you and Miss Coco and Miss McGritty are still here, and you're in the same group that I signed.
Okay.
Let me figure that out.
Jasmine, I see Dom as well.
Do you? Okay.
I
That
have
group gets,
just in case. I ain't going live. Just in case my guys, but we actually got
Jasmine. Excuse me, Jasmine. Our session, the performing arts session, closed out in 50 seconds.
So thrown it out.
I'm sorry, everyone. It was too good to be true. Let me try it again.
I totally got kicked out of mine too.
All right, I'm going to do it again.
There we go.
Okay.
Jasmine, I just have a feeling the one name that shows as Al-Qadir was one of the artists, and I forget who it was.
No, that's my hubby.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought they
That's okay.
spoke from one of the ones. Okay, great. And I still see Dom.
Really?
He was on twice, so maybe
Okay.
one of him went and the other one.
That's fine. Great. We should be good then.
All right, we should be good. All right.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Abigail can start.
So thanks everyone for waiting in the lobby while the artists and conductors are having their conversations. I want to appreciate one of our current interns, Abby Wise, who has worked hard to put together a little slideshow for us. So I'd like to go ahead, Abby, and let's share the slideshow of art from the artists that have been nominated, and then we'll come back together and have some time for any other questions about the project before the artists come back and join us.
Turn the guitar up, Mike, please. Guitar, Mike. Freedom, 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 freedom. Freedom. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Along the way from my home, yeah, Lord. Singing freedom, 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 freedom. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Yeah, long, long, long way, way from my home. Yeah, yeah. Mr. Richie Haven.
I founded J3 Music Studios, which I run out of my studio at my home. I mostly do private lessons right now, and it's based in contemporary music. So I have a number of students who come in who play guitar, they play keyboard or piano, a lot of vocal students, and I encourage songwriting as a way of learning the instrument that they come in to learn. I offer 10 to 14 week sessions throughout the year where we start from sort of instrument technique and sort of basics. And as we go through the session, we get deeper and deeper into the creative aspects of what their instrument can do for them. I like to teach students to learn songs that are relevant to them, songs that they know already, because then they can very quickly hear when they make a mistake and they can go, wait, that's not right, and then they can sort of analyze what it is that they meant to do there and fix it. They can learn to be their own teachers. I also really like to play to the interests of every student. I have a number of students who are very into musicals and show tunes, and we stick to that. Using your big voice, finding that power, the diaphragmatic power that you need on stage to get your projection, and then how to use your body to tell the story that you're singing. So, you know, students who are into show tunes and musicals, we sort of focus on that angle. A number of students come in for guitar lessons and then decide, oh, but I really want to sing Taylor Swift songs. Well, then let's sing along. And then all of a sudden they're going, wow, I'm singing on key. Wow, I really love to sing. Hey, I'm finding the coordination here. You know, I want to do some voice lessons too. And then we'll do voice and guitar. And, you know, it shifts and it morphs and it shapes based on where the students' interests are, and we always end with recording. Recording is a really important tool for kids too, and anyone learning music, because they can hear, they can be an objective listener all of a sudden. They can record it and then listen and step back and just listen to it and go, oh, I thought that I
Hey,
was
Abby,
there. And
I
listen to
think
that.
we're going to have to pause this
do
so
that again.
I don't want to run out of time to see all the artists. I saw the 5-minute warning come through. Thank you, Abby. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
So I want to appreciate everyone for spending a minute checking out the artist, and I'm so curious. Did anyone see an artist that they were unaware of previously? Yeah. Yeah. So great. And everyone featured, to be clear, is right here in Lancaster County. So really the scope of this project in this first effort is right here in Lancaster, with a focus on Black artists. And everyone who was featured there was nominated by, as you heard previously, one of, I think, 6 agents, nominators, who have been talking together for the last month or so. And then here we are, and the next steps will be that the artists that you just saw featured will have an opportunity, based on what they heard tonight, based on what they're talking about in their breakout groups, to propose their vision and a piece that they might wish to work on between now and Juneteenth. And Juneteenth will be the reveal of the sponsored pieces in particular, but already just in these initial days of talking about this project, interesting opportunities have already come, with folks asking us, you know, could maybe the participants of Black Artists Way Station participate in this or show at that? So, you know, our ultimate goal of lifting up Black artists here, I think is really, it's yet to be completely examined, all the possibilities. So I'm going to stop there. And if anyone has questions about the projects, I can answer a little bit about some artists if folks have questions.
Stacy, this is Mike and Wendy. We don't have a question, but we do want to just congratulate you. The breadth of this is really much broader than I can recall the early conversations suggesting, and it looks really great.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Michael, and hi, Wendy.
Hi, Stacy. Yeah, the talent is amazing. We wondered if everyone, actually all of the artists were from Lancaster County, and we're just amazed to find out that they are. So we're excited about the project as well.
So you have this hidden jewel sort of right there that's now been revealed. So congratulations.
Great. Thanks so much. I'm so glad you could join.
Yeah.
Anyone else with a question or a great idea? What have we not yet explored here?
I don't have a question and I don't have a great idea. But I really want to honor the using the metaphor of Underground Railroad with conductors, and it's a way station. That just says it. It just says.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us, Susan.
Stacy, could you tell us a little bit about how the artists were selected?
Well, as Tony mentioned, he had stumbled across a Pava Gallery showing at the Ware Center, and the work that was shown that night was by Miss Jerry McGinty, and you just saw some of her work in the slideshow, but some of her artist friends were also attending, and so we got to chit-chatting, and that's when we were talking about how many galleries are in the city in particular, but that they really are not lifting up and showing Black artists of the county. And we were asking questions about how people were connected as artists, and where were the places that people gathered or showed their work. And That's where sort of the void was revealed, Nancy. And so people were selected with that broad idea of disciplines that Len Wood laid out earlier, you know, not to stay in this notion of visual art only, but to ask questions and think differently about how to, you know, if you had the longest list of all the artists in the area, who all would be on it. And I think some of the most heartening feedback was from folks who said, I didn't see myself in a group like this. But other people did see them that way. And I think that's so exciting and powerful. I have a question in the chat. Hi, John. If we wanted to connect with any artist in the future, how might we do that? Well, you can feel free to reach out to myself or Mr. Collins or Len Wood Sloan, and we would be happy to make those connections. I hope that it becomes a lot easier, though, to reach any of these artists if they are as prominently featured all over the place, like some of the artists that we already see frequently highlighted here in the area. So for example, we are talking about how some of this art might be artists might be highlighted on other websites of prominent area entities, for example, or during other prominent local festivals. Should we ever have festivals that we go to again, that would be nice. So stay tuned, but also bring those ideas so that we don't miss an opportunity to put forward all these great folks.
Stacy, it's Mike. Is the video that you just showed available? It has all the websites on there.
Hey, I was just thinking that same thing. I think what we can do, Abby did such a great job. We'll probably just go ahead and put that on our website on the Black Artist Way Station page so that folks can see it going forward. The Lancaster City Arts Program has also offered to highlight the nominees from the Black Artist Way Station on that website. So many of the nominees have also shared similar information to live in that location. So that's one of our first opportunities to create greater exposure. I did see a note too. Shortly they'll be joining us again, but while we have a moment, any other questions?
What's the plan for recognizing the 3 artists at the end on Juneteenth? I mean, the current plan.
Right, the current plan, which is still being planned. So a couple things we know for sure. For the 3 artists that will be really identified as exemplars in this first year, they will each receive a $500 honorarium that has been provided by the Blake Collins Group. And in addition, for those who work in a medium that requires supplies, they would be eligible for reimbursement up to $500 from the Lancaster City Art Program. So that would be another way to provide support. But we also are really, as Len Wood said, it's not, you know, the Pillsbury Bake Off. You know, we want to see a strengthened community, and we want to see more opportunities for everyone, not just for the folks who are selected as exemplars in this first year. And, you know, we would also love to see additional donors or support who want to make more honorariums available next year. So, so many ideas. A Juneteenth event, we're really trying to think of how could we showcase the artist in a non-traditional yet public way. So even, well, tonight was the first I heard this idea of the McDonald's drive-through, so I don't know what to think about that. But, you know, let's really all be thinking about what is possible. I can't imagine the scenario where we have too much art. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello, I wanted to be the first to come back before our artists come back. They will be back in probably like about a minute.
Great, great.
They're gonna report back with some awesome conversations, dialogue that they were having, so I'm excited.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. It's always so encouraging to see such a great cross-section of our community interested in the work of YWCA Lancaster, and I'm really grateful to have all of you. Oh, I'd also like to recognize, I think we have 4 board members here tonight. So special thanks also to board members of YWCA Lancaster, because you're the ones who really ensure that we're staying on point and support big, bold new ideas. So special thanks. I see Ms. Deb Gadson, Denise Burkholder. I saw Keisha Morant-Williams. And I saw Jasmine Craybill. I hope I didn't miss anyone who's a board member. But thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
All right. I think everyone's back. All right. It seemed like more time could have went on, but I just wanted to respect, yes, was I alone? I wanted to respect the time that we've allotted for this evening. I am going to ask my reporters in the group to report out. I'm going to start with my media film group, which would be Denise giving us a report.
Oh, are you starting with me?
Yes.
Of
Thank
course you are. Well, let me tell you, when you get artists together, it's hard to rein them in. There was a lot of artistic collaboration going on. There were a lot of ideas flowing. We did get to 2 of the questions, but perhaps not all 4. And I want to thank right out of the gate Elimo for just the great advice, industry advice he provided, the encouragement he provided, that certainly was honed in for the audience that he was speaking to. But I'll tell you, it was great life advice, and I wrote a lot of it down. Even an old lady like me can learn new things, and I just want to say thank you. And Lenwood, please chime in. I'm sure I missed something, but I'm gonna start with, what are the top 2 challenges for emerging Black artists in Lancaster today? And this is what I heard. There are a lot of Black creative artists here, but we don't know where they're at. We're here, but we know ourselves. We might know 1 or 2 others, but where's the community? The community that we see is white. So kind of similar to what Tony shared and the spark that drove him to this initiative. Number 2, the need for a solid platform to demonstrate our talent. You know, art can be a lonely business. You're doing it on your own unless you're the we group out there. And so you do it, and then what do you do with it? And so that's another, I think, point that Tony's trying to drive home here, the team rather, and why we're doing this. So I think we're hitting the mark on those 2 concerns. What support would you like from the community and this group of artists? Nathan, who had to leave us early, but had some brilliant input, and I hope I got it, but succinctly, he said it much more eloquently than I'm going to, but he said, you know, there's the art, there's the craft, and then there's the business. And he can get through his work. Others, you know, aligned with this, but maybe can't get to the finish line because there's gaps in what they need, especially in the kind of, you know, in film and that kind of industry. You need other skill sets to get to the finish line. And so he has found that there are gaps. There are gaps in his pipeline to get, you know, in his process flow to get to the end zone. And so what he would like and what others agreed to is that, you know, there needs to be a pipeline. We need to grow the talent. I'm throwing this part in, identify, you know, folks who are probably looking or maybe have expressed an interest, but have no idea how to get there. And so there's that gap. And then we need collective spaces where we can be together. We need spaces where we can get together and collaborate. And gosh, if you could have heard, you know, the back and forth, it's just, oh gosh, if I had any regrets being on this team, and I don't, they were put to the wayside after that group conversation. It was really invigorating for me. And that's all I have. Oh, one other key point that I think Elimo made was that it's really important to understand the art of making art and then the art of rejection, because there's so much in that industry, and you just, you know, there's no immediate gratification. If you're results oriented, you might be disappointed because it might take a while to get to that result. Lenwood, anything else you want to add to that? Elimo, anyone from the group?
Lenwood, you're on mute.
I think that just staying involved in the conversation with yourself, like people will always tell you, like, don't take it personal. As an artist, it's impossible not to take it personal because it's your work. You know, you bleed it, you breathe it, you do everything, you sacrifice for it. But there is a very real way, and it's a muscle that, like, you have to learn it or else you won't survive. And the other thing that I didn't get to bring up is the way things look on the outside are never how they look on the inside. Never, ever, ever. So comparison is absolute death. You absolutely have no idea what other people are going through, whether it's true, whether it's not. You know, finding health and happiness inside of yourself will give you longevity as an artist, for sure.
And the group spoke quite eloquently about be willing to play all parts, to be star in one piece and support in the other, and you learn from it all. Thank you, Denise, and thank you so much, Elimo. All the artists in the room spoke very passionately. I wish we had taped it.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm going to call on the visual arts group, which would be Randy Harris to report.
Okay. Thank you, Jasmine. We had four artists in the room: Keisha Finney, Malcolm, and his mom, Maria, Javi, and then as our conductor, Amber Furness and Sherlyn Camaro. Okay, I didn't miss anybody. Similar concerns and hopes and dreams in that venues are short in supply. Venues in the city are expensive. Arts material is ever expensive for emerging artists. So these are some of the things that maybe this group and the larger community can help emerging artists overcome. Basically affordability issues. On another level, Malcolm's situation, being an artist his mom related the fact that he would produce art and this gets to the whole entrepreneurial aspect of being an artist. She found that in the venues that he's experienced, when he would do generalist art, it may sell, but when he would depict Black people or Black faces, that did not tend to sell. And so she was hurt by that and crushed by that, and was hoping that this we're on the cusp of some type of a change in attitude about artwork, about experiencing the expressions of Black artists. Wow, a lot of good discussion that happened. Let me see if I got more here. Well, Amber related the fact that was a very heartfelt and sad thing about art that's not accepted in a genre in of itself, based on who's expressing it, I guess you could say. And she expressed her concerns about being in the recovery community and hoping that having been, in essence, rejected and being brought back from her low point, that could be recognized when people are bouncing back from a setback in their lives, that the people need to see art expressed in different circumstances. Is that fair, Amber? Is that what you were trying to say? I don't want to put words in your mouth, or I hope I'm accurate.
Yeah, like I just think it's really important that I personally have met some of the most talented and intelligent people, not just in the recovery community, but like in jails and in rehabs. And one of the biggest things that I feel is an issue in the recovery community is that there's not a lot of reinvestment in people's lives, in particularly in the Black community. And I think it's super important to give that healthy outlet so that we don't end up relapsing or going back to jail or or dead for a lot of us. Unfortunately, that's the reality of being in recovery. I've lost more friends than I can count. But I think that it would be a huge help to uplift, people that are really, really trying to like transition into a better version of themselves. And, as we know, once you have a felony, it's super hard to get a job, like how do we, not only be able to like ban the box, but, how do we also help the, society as a whole to invest in their talent, in their skills. And I think that would help. I think that would help a lot of us.
Thank you. I wanted to.
If I could add, Randy, sorry to interrupt. I think, to be an artist takes a lot of inner strength, a lot of willpower, and a lot of perseverance. I think Elimo was talking about that. You have to recognize that that confidence. It has to be as hard as it is to maintain it. Even if you have to fake it, you have to. As they say, you got to fake it till you make it. I mean, you really can't take it personally as much as you can, or at least learn how to, because it is a process, and there's a lot of situations where you don't fit. We were talking about galleries now in this time and age closing, so there's no place to show. There's no place to show. There's no place to get visibility. But you have to keep moving. So you have to be persevere, and you have to have perseverance. Excuse me. And the other thing is, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your vision. You have to be honest and do the work that's honest to you, and speak your truth. And that's it.
Okay. Jasmine?
Thank you. I wanted to add also that Sherlyn mentioned her experience with working with children and the need to bring a new generation along, whoever it is of this crew of people or part of a community who are working, always recognize the younger people who need to have role models and North Stars to follow into the art world. And to infuse, she said, the fact that you can be an entrepreneur in this field if you move in the right direction, if you learn enough about the craft, that kids can be enthused by seeing a future, that there is employment opportunities in the art field. I think that's about it. Anything else, Javi?
I think that's it, Randy. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing out from the visual arts group. Last but not least, performance arts, and I'm asking Barry to report back.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to start with question 4. What support would you like from the community in this group as an artist? And I guess one of the things that came up was what they want from this community is community. And that's kind of what started amongst our artists. We spent a lot of time talking to get acquainted, to share passions and work, and begin to build a community right here and now, which was a wonderful thing. Also talked about this community providing perspective, permission, supporting creativity, and just general support. One of the artists had a question about the very needing clarity from this community, particularly about the purpose of this project. It got answered in our group. We can find out if everyone understands that later on. But because we spent so much time building community, we didn't really get to all of the other questions, but we did get to some. So number 3, how does using art as a social justice movement influence your work? One of the artists said basically it shapes everything I do as an artist. That person said, never felt empowered until the emphasis of the work was relevant to the issues we're living today and more. And I got the impression that's true of everybody who was in the group and probably every one of the artists who's here. Question 2 about places. We didn't really address, but we didn't have time. But it did sort of impact on question number 1, what are top two challenges emerging? We've heard them talked about in the other groups. Funding is certainly one of them, along with that resources in lots of ways. And that includes places to thrive. And I imagine that includes studio space, rehearsal space, performance space, those gathering spaces for this group and other groups, and the opportunity to create collaborations between artists. There was also a notion of right now we're having to, in some fashion, reimagine the arts because we have to do so much virtually. And so there's all the elements of that might be something that we could address, the challenges of creating that, what work that used to be done in person in other formats. Visibility was a big issue, and it was talked about in the other groups. And then maybe Jerry could address this because she got cut off just as she began to talk about the African concept of Sankofa. So Jerry, are you still on? And do you want to say a few words about that?
You're on mute, Jerry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yes, the African concept of Sankofa, S-A-N-K-O-F-A, is going back, paying respects, going back. In order to go forward in life, you have to go back to your ancestors and where everything was birthed and pay your respects. And the reason that is so dear to me is because the motherland, Africa, we're all birthed from there. And nowadays, the African arts, especially the African arts and the arts and performance arts and arts of crafts, they're all over the world. Some of them, Africans can't get back. Same thing for their performance. Everybody's doing it. But it's always good to give back the respect that it's due when people use it and do it. So it would be great and awesome to see everybody on the creative side as artists, as performance artists, If you're inspired through that African art and Black art, any kind of art really, it's just always good to give back from where you took from. And I would just like to see more of that from just artists in general, because I see a lot of people borrowing from the art, but they don't know the meaning. Everything you do, every piece of symbol or sign you use has a meaning. So I encourage people to go back and do a little, dig a little, you know, and if you borrowed something from that, know what you borrowed to create this piece of work, know the history of it. It's the same as going back to knowing the history of African-American artists, performance artists. It's basically the same thing. So that's what I was trying to say.
So Jerry, in our meetings in preparation to get to this evening, we have been reflecting on how powerful the summer of 2020 was, particularly June of 2020 in Lancaster's community with Black Lives Matter, and how all generations and really diverse people came out to respond to Black Lives Matter. But we want you to remember that if Black lives matter, then the history of Black lives matter too, you know, and you can't move forward if you don't go back. You know, you can't.
Exactly.
You know, and this is not a sepia tone history. This is a blueprint history. You know, sometimes we think of going back is a sepia tone record or photograph, but we're looking at the blueprint of vigilance, the blueprint of diligence, you know, the blueprint of abolitionists as being a flag to carry up the new hill and into the new battleground. So I applaud you. And one last thing I'd like to say is, I will say children because I'm 74 years old. Children, this is 2021. We are 20 years into the 21st century. So as much as I love Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, you don't have to go back to the 19th century. You have 120 years of modern history to call forth. You know, this doesn't have to be, you know, about the 19th century. This history is yesterday. History is this morning. You know, history is 15 minutes ago. You know, and use all of that in the making of your art, so that we don't commoditize ourselves. You know, we are very excited about this conversation. And Tony, if I could take one more minute to have people look at the screen and do it like a speed dating thing. If there's somebody whose face you didn't know, if there's somebody who you've never heard of before, look on the screen and look on the listserv and plan to reach out to them when tonight is over.
So as part of that group, there was a question asked, does this have to be, is it limited to talking about the Underground Railroad and the current situation? The answer is no. It's not limited to that. That's not excluded, but as Linwood talked about, there's 450 years of history. You can pick 1968, you can pick 1868. But the point that we're trying to suggest is that there is a rhythm, there is a theme, there is a question that America continues to ask about perfecting this democracy. And that question always evolves around how it's going to relate to people of African descent. That is the artistry that we're thinking about. It's ever been there, and we want to inspire people, as Linwood said earlier, artivists. We want whatever happens here to also be making a positive contribution to social justice. So back to you, Jasmine.
All right, I think every group has shared out. I hope the larger group enjoyed their time together, seeing everybody's art. I will at this time just encourage everyone to reflect on our website, and I'm going to put the link into the chat box. There is a deadline of February 28th for projects to be submitted, and I know everybody did get an email with that information. I'll stay on, and I'm sure that some other folks like Javi, Tony, Stacy, I'm looking around, can probably stay
Hey,
on
Pat,
as well.
before
Julia?
before you wind up, I think we have a few more minutes left, and I was just curious if anybody had some burning thought that we had overlooked and didn't give them enough agency and enough time to comment. So I'll throw that in your lap, but it seems.
Yep, that's what I was just about to say, that we can stay on a little bit after, so that everybody else can log off and we can answer any questions related to that February 28th deadline and what's being requested for your submission of intent. But I will just thank everyone else for their time this evening, everybody that did log on, and then our artists with any questions, if you could stay on, that would be great. Thank you for joining us.